Every 40 seconds, somebody takes their own life. And suicide is now the leading cause of death amongst 15 to 29-year-olds. Patrick from Bury was almost one of these figures. He's had a rough few years and he struggled with his mental health. But today, on Suicide Prevention Awareness Day, he's speaking out about what he's been through and how you can spot the signs of struggle amongst other people. So, Patrick, it's really brave what you're doing today. And I just want to start off and ask if you can give us a brief description of what it is that you've been through.
Yeah, so, I mean, I never had the best childhood. It was very boiler room in the sense that, my mum tried her best and, I ended up living with my nan. And I was always written off in school, we're never supposed to go anywhere. Always having to prove people wrong to get where you are. And then when I was 12, unfortunately, my dad passed away. So that was just a whole different ball game completely. You had to sort of get used to that. But like I say, I was always written off in high school. I was predicted for GCSEs. I came out with 9. Never supposed to really go to uni. Supposed to go to a special school when I was young, like a special educational needs school. And if it wasn't for my defiant nan downstairs, I probably would have been in a whole different position. But I've just kept proving them wrong, and especially last year, when you're in your final year of uni, you've got all this thing going on inside your head, like, oh, all I want to do is die, and for me, I very rarely attended any lectures last year. I was getting up at stupid o'clock in the afternoon. I was going to sleep at stupid o'clock in the morning. Going on big long walks. Losing a lot of relationships with people just because I just couldn't find a level of feeling good every day. It was always something. It'd be the smallest thing of, I was even shouting at my mates for like not washing the pots, and I mean, I wasn't shouting at them, I was giving them what for, and it was small things like that, backing people into corners, and I look back on it now and I think, why do you even do that? But if it wasn't for my mates being there last year, I probably wouldn't be here, and I mean that genuinely.
Is it possible for you to describe what it feels like?
It's just you're fighting these demons of it's like you have an angel on one side of your head and a devil on the other, and you always go towards the side of where the devil is. And it's quite a weird analogy to put it like that, but I've always been a very outgoing, personable, like, individual. I was trying to find the word there. And it's like you're being robbed of your own persona. And I lost so many relationships over it. So many. I couldn't even begin to even fathom what it must have been like for them. But like I say, they've been very accepting of it. We've moved on in life, and we're all getting to a reasonable level of, forgetting about it.
I mean, it's amazing that you're able to sit and speak to me about this now, but has there been a defining moment or a pivotal sort of turning point where you've realised something needs to change?
Yeah, I think I've always had moments where I've been like, oh, I need a change in my life. I said I'm going to change things, and I've not changed them. You always get the examples, oh, I'm going to stop smoking, and then 2 minutes later you go to the shop and buy anything like that. But I've always had these pivotal turns where I've said, yeah, I'm going to change my life, and I've never been able to do it. I've always reverted back to my old habits. I think for me, I was sitting in the room with my nan one evening, and she's my absolute world, my nan. I would never ever dream of turning her over. If I tried to, I'd probably end up on my ass. But at the end of the day, she just broke down crying, and I thought, I was like, "Why are you crying?" She just says, "I can't lose you. We've come this far. Please don't go." And this was literally maybe 2 or 3 months ago when we just had an argument, and I just flounced out, and I thought, I can't go on like this anymore. Absolutely off the rails. And like I said, and to see her crying, I mean, she never really cries, but when she was crying, it means something. So, I mean, I've had my grandpa cry, and I can't do that to my family. I can't do that to my mates because, you know, they've been there for me. They know what it's, you know, they know what I'm like, and I don't want to be known as that character who's going off every 5 minutes to kill himself. It's not me, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying that because I should have reached out first, and I never did. So I want to be known as the happy Paddy, not the sad Paddy.
Do you think you've changed as a person then, having gone through all of this, if you compare you now to a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I perceive life a lot differently. You know, I'm not, like I said before, I'm not there yet. I'm not at a playing field where I can run around and be happy all day. I've still a lot to contend with in life. I do, but I'm not at that stage where I have to think, oh, I'm going to kill myself over it, because that was probably most days last year up in Newcastle. That is probably mostly what was the case. You know, multiple suicide attempts, and we're not talking just one. We're talking like 5. Just being in police cars and things like that, it doesn't bear thinking about. So I think because of that as well, I didn't want to be that person anymore. I needed to see change within myself, and I needed to make other people see it as well.
Okay, well, feel free not to answer if it makes you uncomfortable, but what is it in those darker moments that's actually stopped you from committing suicide?
There were so many things, but I can really highlight the importance that my family and friends have had. But I've also had, you know, blips of saying, "What the hell are you doing?" You know, PJ, what the hell are you doing? You're on a bridge here, you're on a bridge here. You've just climbed over the side of it. There are people walking past you. That's going to be something that maybe stays with them for the rest of their life. And it's like you can't put people through that. And in the moment, like I say, you don't care about the people that are around you. You don't. They care about you, but you don't have that alternative response. And yeah, I think the things that have stopped me are like, you know, my support network. Because I lost an incredible amount last year, an incredible amount, and I had to stand back up on my own 2 feet. And September 21, you know, I'm there now. I feel at a reasonable threshold. So I'm, like I say, I'm not saying I'm there yet, but I'm gradually getting there. So yeah.
In cliche question, but what was it like in lockdown when you've not had or been able to see family and friends?
Oh, terrible. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, it was bad enough with my nan because she was living on her own. She lives on her own whilst I'm not there, and she's saying no, she feels like crap, and you know, I'm saying I can't do anything. I can't come down because of COVID, and I'm also, you know, I spent a lot of time in my room, a 4-walled room, and you should never do that. I mean, it was like being in a secluded room. The only thing I was missing was the padded jacket. It was terrible. So the lockdown was good because, you know, you weren't spending money or anything like that, but I was spending money because I had nothing else to do other than drink and do drugs. And it was horrible. It was like I say, you couldn't be with your family because of COVID. You couldn't speak to them and they couldn't tell you to wise up. So you just went and did what the best thing was at the time. And even my mates were saying, "What the hell are you doing?" You know, you're like, I mean, what are you doing? And like I said, I probably most days I go to sleep drunk, wake up drunk, and start again.
Did you use or have any other ways of finding help or support whilst you were at university?
So I had sessions of counselling at university with a lady named Lindsay. She was very lovely, and we initially had problems with. She was Scottish and she's very broad Scottish, so it was like, could you just repeat that, or you know, sorry, what did you just say? and she got me onto this texting group called Shout, and I don't know the code off by heart, but you basically say help, or you say something like shout or something like that, and right away, and we're talking within maybe 0.2 seconds, whatever it is, will say, what's the problem? And you just text them your problem, and it's someone on, like we're doing now. Maybe you're the employee for Shout, and you're saying, "Oh, you okay? Do you need emergency services?" And it was absolutely fantastic. And I think services like that, because don't forget, these people aren't getting paid for these services; they're doing it off their own accord. I spoke with an individual one night. I can't remember her name. I think it was Lucy. And obviously it's a texting service, but I was feeling that bad. She actually went out of her own way to ring me and see how I was. And you know, I've been in that scenario, and even that was a major pivotal turn, just to say, what are you doing? You know, I can't honestly tell you that these people out there will listen if you have a problem.
What are some signs that friends or family can look for in others if they may suspect that somebody may be going through that?
It's a very good question. I think for me personally, I pick up on mannerisms. You know, whenever you go into a pub, you see a lot of people who either try and act like they're in a conversation, but they're not all there. I think hands as well play a big part. I've seen people who are like, you know, do that with the hand on the forehead, and you know, they've got the face down at the table. You know that something's sort of going on, but sometimes you don't want to sort of say, "Are you all right?" or anything like that. But the major player I found was basically just personality, and like I say, those mannerisms entwined with the way they're acting. You know, maybe not engaging in conversations like they normally would. And that's the way I found it anyway. But a lot of people will have their own ways of finding out that, I find. Because certainly for me, the lads who I lived with last year, they knew from their own methods that, you know, you were either feeling down, or it'd be anything, you know, from sitting in a room on your own, sitting on a couch on your own, going outside frequently tends to be quite a big one as well. And you just sort of find that way of identifying things. And I think, like I say, the main one is detecting someone's mannerisms and finding out what, you know, how they're acting around in an environment where maybe there are a lot of laughs going on, or, you know, you talking about the football at the weekend, and then they end up talking about something completely irrelevant. It can be any scenario, but I think, like I say, you find ways to identify these problems. And for me, if I was giving this advice to anyone, it would be to play upon that.
I know you said before there's been times where you've lashed out at your friends. So how can you approach somebody and help them if they don't necessarily want to be helped at that point in time?
If you're not in a mindset where you feel like you should be helped at the moment, it's very difficult to try and get any information out of them. It is, because I've been in places where I've not wanted to say anything, and I haven't said anything. And then it's become maybe 2 weeks later where they've been like, "Lad, what was the problem?" And I'm not telling you. And it's not a case of you being childish or anything like that. It's just, you don't want to, you feel like you're obstructing their life more than anything. And everyone will go through that phase where the longer you keep it in, the worse it's going to get. The advice I'd give to someone who is in that situation is, the sooner the better. And as hard as it is, the sooner the better. Because it's the longer you leave it there, the more likely you are to either commit to something that is going to possibly be not just the worst mistake of your life, but affect many people around you, or it's the difference between living a long, healthy, prolonged life where, you know, because we're all on this planet for a reason. Don't forget, we're not. You know, I mean, I think my mate was telling me it's like a 1 in something 300 million chance that we're even born anyway. Might even be higher than that. I don't know. But you know, you're on this planet for a reason. Try and look past the initial phase. Try and look past the onslaught of what you're going through at that present moment. You know, think about the people you're affecting. Think about what, you know, think about the holidays you want to go on. Think about the car that, you know, the next car you want. The small things in life are the greatest thing. So that'd be the advice I give to anyone that's trying to sort of say and come across and ask their mate anything. Do it at the right time. You know, find the right moment of approaching that person. You know, maybe if they're going out for a fag or they're going to the bar for a beer, pull their arm and say, "Are you all right?" Because they won't want loads of people around them. Because I know I wasn't like that. I used to think that loads of people in the room would, like, even if someone would walk past me, I'd think, what's their problem? Do you know what I mean? And they'd have no problem. And then I'd start beef with someone over nothing. And it was like, you can't like do that. I found better mechanisms through talking to people individually. I got a lot more across than just being in a big group, because when I was in a big group, I felt like I was the captain of a team. You know what I mean? It was terrible. But like I say, you have to pick the right moment. The moments are there. Don't do it in a group of people either, because if you do that, the person who's in that thought process, their self-esteem has just gone right down, because they initially think everyone's going to view me as this person when I'm not that person. And people get it when you talk to them individually.